Welcome everyone to today's discussion on a deeply sensitive and significant topic: should euthanasia be considered a human right? Let's explore the various perspectives and emotions surrounding this issue. To start, I'd like to ask each of you to share your initial thoughts. Guy, would you like to begin?
Thank you, Michelle. I believe that euthanasia should indeed be considered a human right. Every individual deserves the autonomy to decide over their own life, especially in the face of unbearable suffering. It's about respecting personal freedom and dignity.
I understand where Guy is coming from, but I'm not so sure. Labeling it a human right could open the door to potential abuses. Who decides what's unbearable? There's a slippery slope from voluntary euthanasia to involuntary practices.
I think both Guy and Ryan raise important points. On one hand, personal autonomy is crucial, but on the other, we must safeguard against misuse. Perhaps there need to be strict guidelines and safeguards if we are to consider it a human right.
Those are compelling viewpoints. Guy, how would you address Ryan's concern about potential abuses and the slippery slope?
Great question, Michelle. I believe that robust legal frameworks and strict eligibility criteria can mitigate those risks. For example, requiring multiple medical opinions, psychological evaluations, and ensuring that the decision is informed and voluntary can help prevent abuse.
Even with strict criteria, there is still room for error or coercion, especially in vulnerable populations like the elderly or disabled. How do you ensure that the choice is truly autonomous and not influenced by external pressures?
That's a valid concern, Ryan. Perhaps implementing oversight committees and involving independent third parties in the decision-making process can provide additional layers of protection. Transparency and accountability are key.
Excellent suggestions, Sonia. Shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the emotional aspects. Kai, how do you reconcile the emotional weight of ending a life with advocating for it as a right?
It's undoubtedly a heavy and emotional issue, Michelle. However, advocating for euthanasia as a human right isn't about promoting death, but about offering compassion and choice to those enduring unimaginable pain. It's about empathy and respecting someone's wishes at the end of their life.
I respect the intention behind it, but emotionally, it feels like society is giving up on people who are suffering. Instead of providing more support and palliative care, euthanasia might become a way to sidestep addressing the root causes of suffering.
I see both sides. While improving palliative care is essential, there are cases where palliative measures aren't enough to alleviate suffering. In such instances, euthanasia could be a merciful option for those who request it.
This brings up another important question: should the availability of euthanasia impact how society invests in palliative care and support systems?
Ideally, both can coexist. Recognizing euthanasia as a human right doesn't mean neglecting palliative care. It means providing comprehensive options for individuals based on their needs and wishes.
I'm concerned that if euthanasia becomes more accessible, there might be less incentive to improve palliative care, as it becomes seen as a simpler solution.
That's a risk, but with proper policies and funding, we can ensure that both euthanasia and palliative care receive the necessary attention and resources. It's not an either-or situation.
Let's delve into the ethical dimensions. Sonia, from an ethical standpoint, how does considering euthanasia a human right align with principles like the sanctity of life?
The sanctity of life is a fundamental principle, but so is the relief of suffering. Ethically, if preserving life leads to prolonged agony without quality, respecting a person's choice to end their suffering honors their autonomy and quality of life.
Building on that, ethical frameworks like utilitarianism, which focus on the greatest happiness, support euthanasia as it can reduce overall suffering. It's about maximizing well-being and minimizing pain.
On the other hand, deontological ethics, which focus on duties and rules, might oppose euthanasia because it involves taking a life, which is inherently wrong regardless of circumstances.
Interesting contrast between ethical theories. How do you all think cultural and societal values influence the perception of euthanasia as a human right?
Cultural and societal values play a huge role. In some cultures, the collective good and family decisions are prioritized over individual autonomy, which might oppose euthanasia. In more individualistic societies, personal choice is paramount, making euthanasia more acceptable.
Additionally, religious beliefs deeply influence this perception. Many religions view life as sacred and oppose any form of ending it prematurely. This creates significant opposition in religious communities towards considering euthanasia a human right.
Conversely, secular societies that separate religion from state may be more open to euthanasia as a human right, focusing on individual rights and scientific advancements in medicine.
Let's consider legal perspectives. In countries where euthanasia is legal, what have been the outcomes in terms of human rights and societal impact? Sonia, can you shed some light on this?
Certainly. In countries like the Netherlands and Belgium, where euthanasia is legal under strict conditions, studies have shown that it's regulated carefully with safeguards to protect vulnerable populations. Respecting euthanasia as a human right in these contexts has provided relief to the suffering unbearably while maintaining ethical standards.
However, there have been reports of cases where the lines blur, such as non-voluntary euthanasia or instances where consent is ambiguous. These issues highlight the challenges in ensuring that euthanasia remains a compassionate and rights-based practice.
Those cases emphasize the need for continuous oversight, transparent processes, and regular review of laws to ensure that euthanasia remains a genuine human right without being exploited.
Transitioning to personal stories, how do your individual experiences shape your perspectives on euthanasia as a human right? Brian, would you like to share?
Sure, Michelle. I have a close friend who suffered from a terminal illness and struggled with the decision regarding euthanasia. Witnessing their pain and uncertainty made me empathetic, but also cautious. It reinforced my belief in the need for robust support systems and thorough decision-making processes to ensure that such choices are truly the individual's own.
I, too, have known someone in that situation. It was heart-wrenching to see them suffer, and I felt that having euthanasia as an option could have provided them with peace and control over their destiny. It's a reminder of the profound impact this issue has on real lives.
Personal stories like these underscore the importance of ethical euthanasia laws. They highlight the balance between alleviating suffering and preserving life, showing that euthanasia, when approached respectfully, can honor an individual's wishes and autonomy.
Emotional narratives indeed add depth to this discussion. Let's explore the psychological implications. How might recognizing euthanasia as a human right affect individuals facing terminal illnesses psychologically?
It could provide individuals with a sense of control and autonomy, reducing feelings of helplessness and despair. Knowing that they have the option to end their suffering on their own terms might alleviate some psychological burdens associated with terminal illnesses.
On the flip side, it might also lead to increased anxiety or fear among patients about becoming a burden to their families or society. The availability of euthanasia could inadvertently influence their self-perception and mental health negatively.
That's why comprehensive psychological support must accompany euthanasia laws. Ensuring that individuals are making informed, voluntary decisions without external pressures is crucial for their mental well-being.
Let's consider the economic factors. How does the potential legalization of euthanasia as a human right impact healthcare costs and resource allocation?
There's an argument that euthanasia could reduce healthcare costs by decreasing prolonged and expensive end-of-life care. However, this perspective is ethically troubling as it frames life through economic value rather than personal dignity.
Conversely, proponents might argue that resources could be better allocated to improving the quality of existing palliative care rather than prolonging life at all costs. Euthanasia could thus be seen as a way to prioritize patient well-being over mere extension of life.
It's essential to separate economic considerations from the core ethical debate. The decision to pursue euthanasia should primarily be about individual rights and suffering, not financial implications.
That's a crucial distinction. Moving forward, what legal safeguards would you consider essential if euthanasia were to be recognized as a human right? Kai, care to start?
Absolutely. First, clear eligibility criteria must be established, such as confirmed terminal illness with a prognosis of 6 months or less to live. Second, multiple medical opinions should be required to validate the request. Third, ensuring that patients are fully informed about their options, including palliative care. Additionally, there should be mandatory psychological evaluations to rule out coercion or mental health issues influencing a decision.
I'd add that there must be an independent oversight body to monitor and review euthanasia cases. This body should have the authority to investigate any suspicious or irregular cases to maintain transparency and accountability.
Furthermore, there should be mandatory waiting periods to give individuals time to reconsider the decision, as well as protocols for second opinions and family consultations, ensuring that the choice is well considered and supported.
These safeguards highlight the complexity of implementing euthanasia as a human right. How do you envision the role of medical professionals in this process?
Medical professionals would play a pivotal role in assessing eligibility, providing information, and ensuring that decisions are voluntary and informed. They would also need training to handle the ethical and emotional aspects of euthanasia sensitively and responsibly.
I agree, but it's also essential to protect medical professionals' rights, allowing them the choice to opt out of performing euthanasia if it conflicts with their personal or religious beliefs.
That balance is crucial. Respecting both patient autonomy and healthcare providers' moral convictions ensures that euthanasia practices are compassionate and consensual for all parties involved.
Let's touch upon international perspectives. How do different countries' stances on euthanasia influence the global human rights discourse?
Countries that have legalized euthanasia, like the Netherlands, Belgium, and Canada, set precedents that influence international debates. They demonstrate that with proper regulation, euthanasia can be integrated into human rights frameworks, inspiring other nations to consider similar approaches.
However, countries with strong religious or cultural opposition to euthanasia may resist these influences, advocating for universal protections of life regardless of circumstances. This creates a diverse global landscape where euthanasia as a human right is continually debated and redefined.
International dialogues and human rights organizations can facilitate understanding and share best practices, helping countries navigate the ethical and legal complexities of recognizing euthanasia as a human right while respecting cultural differences.
As we approach the conclusion of our discussion, I'd like each of you to share your final thoughts on whether euthanasia should be considered a human right. Aye.
In conclusion, I firmly believe that euthanasia should be recognized as a human right. With appropriate safeguards and ethical considerations, it respects individual autonomy and alleviates profound suffering, embodying compassion and dignity in end-of-life care.
My stance remains cautious. While I acknowledge the importance of personal autonomy, the potential risks and ethical dilemmas surrounding euthanasia necessitate careful consideration and robust protections before labeling it a human right.
I advocate for recognizing euthanasia as a human right, provided that stringent regulations and comprehensive support systems are in place. It's about honoring personal choice while ensuring that society protects its most vulnerable members.
Thank you all for your insightful and heartfelt contributions. It's clear that euthanasia as a human right is a multifaceted issue with profound ethical, legal, and emotional dimensions. I hope today's discussion has provided valuable perspectives for our audience.
Thank you, Michelle. It's been a meaningful conversation, and I appreciate everyone's engagement and thoughtful insights.
Thanks, Michelle. It's important to keep these conversations going to navigate such complex and sensitive topics effectively.
I agree. Thank you all for the respectful and enriching dialogue.
Thank you, everyone. Until next time, take care and stay informed.